If love is a verb and control is a verb and dominate and coerce and pressure and guilt, and so is neglect and deny and ignore and possess and manipulate and threaten, and love has been taught to us as a verb, often including all these other verbs, then what does it mean to love as an embodied practice, to hold love as central to our way of being in the world, a way of finding home within ourselves and with each other? That's a question I put into returning home to our bodies, and it's one that I certainly continue to ask myself. What does it mean to do this? Since it's not all these other things that I was taught it was, what is it then? And language sometimes makes it harder to really get it, because I'm like, well, what is it then? But it's something that goes beyond language. If you have not yet read Bell Hooks's book, All About Love, that is certainly in like top of the list for recommended resources for this week's session and beyond. It's an important book to read, to have these conversations, because she did so much heavy lifting so that we can get further, right? And like be in some deep support around some really big ideas because of the work that she did. So to truly love, we must learn to mix various ingredients: care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, and trust, as well as open and honest communication. That's just a taste of how good and clear that book is, how very methodical it is about what this can look like and what this requires. So what is love? Being a word that is used so often, how can we peel it apart and give it renewed life, right? Because it is used all the time. And it's not a mental process. And so we can't just, sit around and think about it, but sitting around and feeling and thinking and sensing is a good idea. If love is the source of the process of embodiment, that means to me, and play with it to see if you agree with me, that means to me that love as a state of being is not quite right. Because if love is the source, then it's not the state of being, because the state of being is changeable. So to me, that means that we exist in various states of awareness of the presence and pure beingness of love. And sometimes we miss it. And sometimes fear obscures it. And sometimes, I don't know, something happens. But whatever happens, love is always here. And then, as you'll see, I'm exploring what that can mean and feel like in a few different contexts. And I'm excited to share that with you. One way that we can get into it, from the material that I've already shared with you here, we can use that skill of making a topographical somatic map. We did that in the observe session, and it's the bulk of the work of the observe section in the book, in the full book. And so we could make a topographical somatic map from what Bell Hooks offered us. What does care feel like in your body? How do you know when you're being cared for and cared by? The mind might have these like checklists for sure, but your body feels a certain way when you're being truly cared for and when you're truly caring for someone else. Your body feels it somewhere. Maybe it's like a warm honey through the chest. Maybe it's like a lightness in the belly. Maybe it's a feeling of softness over the skin. There is no right way or wrong way to describe it. And it can always be changing. You don't have to say, this is how it always feels. But in finding that somatic map of care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, trust, honest and open communication, find it and layer it. And now you have a somatic guide to love, to what love feels like, at least one of the many various emergent states of love that gives us, that at least takes us closer to just being like, I don't even know what love is. I have no idea, right? But I do know what care feels like. I do know what affection feels like, recognition, all of these things. So what's the somatic map of it? Right? Where do I feel care in the body? Where do I feel affection in the body and recognition and respect? What does commitment feel like in my body? Not just my mind. It's not a list of promises that we have made and committed to. That is a layer of it. But what do you feel in your body when you have committed to life, to life, really?